Hello and welcome to Talk Good Games. Just finished Fulham 0, West Ham United 2. 4 wins on the bound for West Ham under Pellegrini, or Pellegrini's Clan Blue Army, as they were singing in the away end. Gonzo, Fulham started the better team, actually. A couple of chances. Kamara had a one-on-one, which Fabianski got down well for. Then he had a free header, which he was a little bit crap for. But were we sort of flying dangerously, if you like?
I think a little bit. I thought they had our number in midfield, really. I thought Mitrovic was dominating as well. I thought, and they were sort of playing around that. But they had us for legs and numbers in midfield. So their three, I thought particularly Seri and Kearney were giving out to the run around, which was allowing them to either spray it up wide to get into Mitrovic or lay it into Mitrovic. And you're right, Fabianski was crucial in that early period of the game.
60 minutes in, West Ham turned into Barcelona. Martin Noble turned into Iniesta, sprayed the ball out wide to Anderson. A delicate little touch sent his defender well on the deck, really wondering where he'd gone. He cut it back to Snodgrass, or McMessi, as we've been calling him. Charlie, a good a finish, as you'll see today. He took his time, picked his spot, and he delivered it on a stamp.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you want from him, that sort of placement and the ability to just curl it round really nice and simple, almost like a free kick, and just bend it in beautifully. I think the play before that was really great as well. And you can see why they're conceding so many, because they're all chasing back, but there's no one really picking up runners. There's no one really thinking about where they're going. And Snodgrass just sort of pulled away slightly and then just stood still and watched Seri and all the other people just run aimlessly into the box, and then had all the time and space in the world to just pick his place. And it's still a very, very difficult thing to do that first time when the ball's coming at you in pace in a pressure environment like that. But he did it absolutely brilliantly, and he is earning that name for a reason now.
His 2 goals and 3 assists for Robert Snodgrass in the last 5 games. He's been involved in 5 goals in 5 games. Gonzo, is this what West Ham are like this season now? You know, for 15 minutes, we look probably the second better of the sides, if you like, and then all of a sudden we turn it on for 10 seconds and we're 1-0 up.
Yeah, but I mean, we really can turn it on as well. I mean, we could just be so incisive, and we can often do it at pace, and we can do it with real quality and precision as well. It's funny, I was on the forum, I was on the match thread on the forum, and Tone, who people will recognise from my vlogs and our reaction videos, he put, we've been the second best team, but our quality up front has seen us doing well. And I actually typed back and said, that is the most un-West Ham thing I've ever read. You know, normally, actually, we play pretty football, and we don't have a cutting edge. Well, this is totally different. And, you know, that stat that you read there about Snodgrass, of course, we've got on the other side as well with Anderson, who's providing goals and assists as well.
And just before the half-hour mark, Fulham were sort of wounded from the first one. Well, they were really wounded here. 2-0. Anderson again with the cross. Hernandez with what would be considered perhaps an unusual assist, as he flicked on delicately. Antonio took it under control. Gonzo, how can someone be Antonio standing in the 18-yard or all alone with no one around him for about 8 yards radius? I mean, put on a play, but he did his job, 2-0 up, and it was party time.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out who was where, because I think it was the number 13, whoever that was challenging Chicharito. So I think Mawson was one guy further on. So they actually moved up as a unit towards our left wing, if you like, which left him in the space. I mean, we spoke at length in our last 2 or 3 videos about how fragile Fulham were defensively, and we took full advantage of that. And Antonio scored the goal, but he caused a major problems today with his pace and his strength getting in behind. They were having to foul him, and I thought what was nice about that was it showed an awareness of how much time he had and how much space for him to take the second touch, which, let's be honest, he has not got the greatest technique in the world. You would advise someone like that to take the second touch, and I just thought he did it really, really well.
Charlie, what about Hernandez's header? Did that surprise you?
Amazing. Like, it's just that little bit of class that he has, where I remember he scored a goal once for Man United where it was a similar sort of header where he headed it sort of backwards into the goal somehow. And he has that instinct inside of him that we haven't seen enough of, but we're starting to now, where occasionally he will just pull something out of the bag, which is just a little bit of genius. But that little bit of genius can either score a goal or create such an amazing opportunity for someone like Antonio to have the time and space, like Gonzo say, to take it down and slot it home calmly as if he was a seasoned striker and not someone who's been playing all over the shop.
I think that assist by Hernandez is fantastic. I really do. The ball's coming in. He's not the biggest guy on the pitch. He's got defenders one in front of him and one behind him. He's sort of sandwiched between the two. He gets up, and he's known for being a poacher in the box, etc. But he's actually turned provider quite a lot over the last few games, Hernandez. He seems to really have added that to his game at West Ham. We've not really seen that from him at West Ham, and that's what's impressed me. I thought that header was absolutely fantastic. If that was an Andy Carroll header, everybody was singing praises about it non-stop, going, that's what Andy Carroll does if you get him on the pitch, etc. So full credit to Hernandez, because that was something that Andy Carroll would be proud of. It was that good a header. And went in 2-0 at half-time. Gonzo, was it a bit of a strange feeling? Because when we were winning 2-0, I actually almost started laughing because I thought, we're not even playing well. Like, I enjoy it. This is how good it's got. I didn't think we were playing that well, but we just had little glimpses of quality and we were 2-0 up.
No, but I was quite confident that we'd get in at the second half, and Pellegrini seems to do well at adjusting things at half time. So I was not that bothered. I also knew that at that point Fulham had to do something. They actually did the wrong thing, by the way, but I knew they had to do something to try and get them back into the game, which would allow the space to open up, which would allow it to become similar to how we played against Newcastle, if we like, where there were going to be spaces in and around their back line for us to run into, and that transpired. It's just we didn't score any more goals.
Charlie, what were you thinking at halftime? 2-0 up, but for me, I think we were winning because of how crap Fulham were rather than how good we were.
Yeah, 100%. It was one of the most absurd halves of football I've ever seen. Fulham created so many chances. The Kamara one was the huge one. Like, there was no way he should have not missed that. That's in the bet on the net. That's a striker's bread and butter. You just bury those chances. And he put it in one of the places. And don't get me wrong, Fabianski did well for it, but man, come on. And I think they created so many decent chances that the fact they hadn't scored was ridiculous. The fact that we were 2-0 up was even more stupid. It was an absurd half of football, but it shows that they didn't actually play like a team bereft of confidence. They played with one with bereft of skill, because they had the chances, but they just didn't finish them. Whereas we got two and we banged them both in brilliant.
Charlie, the second half, well, to be fair, the second half is not much to talk about. The game finished 2-0. But Charlie, is that a good thing that there is nothing to talk about in the second half? In the first half, we had a couple of Fulham chances to discuss, but in the second half, we don't. And I see that as actually a good thing. It's what you, in a professional game, you call a professional performance in the second half, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember when we faced Leicester at home in the title-winning season for them, and Ranieri, we were just on the verge of a comeback. They were 2-0 up, we'd scored, and we were on the verge of coming back into that game. And Ranieri absolutely killed that game with brilliant substitutions. I think he brought on Kante, which is a bit of a cheat, admittedly, but he killed the game with substitutions, and it was similar today. That second half was very dead for most of the time. But from us, that's a good perspective, because we weren't conceding the litany of chances we were in the first half, which was causing concern despite their ability to actually put the ball in the net. And we still, if anyone was going to score in that half, I felt like it was probably going to be us, despite the fact it was a bit dead. And so as a performance goes, that's about as comfortable as it could have been in that second half.
Gonzo, what's your thoughts on the second half as a whole?
Well, I thought he committed substitutional suicide, if that's a phrase. It's probably not, I probably just made it up. But they had their legs on us. They were buzzing around us. They were too mobile for us. That was the main issue in the game today. And from there, they could launch their platforms to attack either wide or through the middle. One of the main reasons for that was Seri, and he brought Seri off, and he brought, was it Johansson or something? He brought some plodder on, right? It completely killed what they were doing well, so I was absolutely delighted to see that. In terms of our defence, yes, they did attack a lot, and our goalkeeper played well. A lot of our defenders played well. In fact, one of them gets man of the match for me, but we've got to give a bit of credit to another clean sheet here, and the fact that we do defend well, that is still an attribute and a quality that our defence as well. And we were playing our offside trap pretty damn well today. We caught them offside quite a number of times, and there was one they really thought they were in, and up we went. Hands went up, and I can't remember, on the left, the geezer thought he was through. The flag goes up again. I thought. Listen, it wasn't a wonderful flowing performance, but as a West Ham fan, I've sort of cried out for a performance like that. A clean sheet and a 2-0 win away from home is good. It's good news. Do you know what I mean? Not the most entertaining, but good news.
I suppose that was my next question, Gonzo. Is this a different type of win to West Ham? We've seen them where we've just outscored the opposition, if you like, but this one, to me, it feels like it's a different. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's just got a different feel to this victory, Gonzo. It just feels like we've won in a different way to what we have done so far this season.
I think at some point, and I made the point before, that we have this run of 4 as only been against poor teams. But you know what? you have to really start taking into account. We said, oh, it's only Cardiff. Well, actually, Cardiff have been on a good run. They still scored 2 goals today. We beat them. Newcastle, they won today. We beat them comfortably. Fulham, they did play well. Mitrovic is a good player. Those players that we saw today that played against us will score goals against other teams. Well, they didn't against us. Crystal Palace, again, won today. And I just think at some point, and we didn't know this wasn't in the brochure when we hired Pellegrini. We thought, yep, attacking football, yes, maybe 2 strikers, yes. We didn't expect a flat back 4, an offside trap, and a mean defence with 2 good centre halves. I don't know what's happened really, and it's a real bonus. And then if you've got that solidity at the back and a good goalkeeper, and then you have a player like Felipe Anderson, who was the most skillful player on the pitch today, and probably will be the most skillful player on the pitch in most games where we don't play the top 6, was actually frightened them to death. And to do this with so many players out, you know, if you're a West Ham fan, you don't need me to list them for you. However many players we got out, first teamers as well, was absolutely magnificent. So yeah, we're efficient and we're decent now, but a prospect of us with some of our top players back in that team, well, number one, give Pellegrini headaches, but I mean, there's 2 or 3 I would think could go in that team if they could get in at the moment. We would be playing some delicious football.
Charlie, the result aside, obviously the 3 points aside, is the best thing today. Maybe not the performance, but the fact that we get that confidence and the momentum, and we just keep going like a train almost. Yeah,
and it's that thing of that was a competent display, and when we go into the next game, we've now got the confidence that not only can we outskill an opposition, not only can we outclass an opposition, not only can we outscore a opposition, but when it comes to it, we can just kill a game and just be like, no, we're 2-0 up now. We're just going to win this. You might as well just stop trying. And that's a huge, huge thing. And it's that varying of the way we actually win games, which stands you in better stead over the course of the season. Because as much as it was great scoring 3 and outclassing every opposition we came up against, that can't continue forever. But performances like today shows at least we can continue to put wins together, even when we aren't absolutely blowing teams away.
Yeah, I think today was one of our most clinical performances I've seen this season. I thought it was a different side to Pellegrini in the second half. Instead of trying to go for the 3rd, then the 4th, which I'm not going to lie, we've all sat here and praised him for doing that. So while I don't want to say it was disappointing, because we then reverted to counter-attacking football very much in the second half, and it was a case of getting the ball and you go direct and you go long, and it could have worked, and arguably should have. There's a couple of times where a little bit more intelligence from our forward players, for example, that time Anderson was running, Antonio seemed to run parallel with him rather than run away from him and create some space for the pass, etc. A little bit of tweaking, and we could have scored the 3rd and 4th goal today. But I just thought we've seen a different West Ham to what we've seen in the last few games. We just kept Fulham's arm's length in the whole second half. The first half, they looked dangerous, and it just felt like at half-time, Pellegrini said to the players, what are you doing? You're giving them chances here. Cut the chances out, you'll win the game. And that's what we did in the second half. They had to revert to sort of, don't want to call it hopeless crosses, but it was very much punts. And Fabianski was coming out and punching it. Our centre-backs were dealing with it in the air pretty comfortably, despite them having Mitrovic in there, etc. In the first half, they came through the centre quite successfully a couple of times. We stopped them in the second half. We played a little bit narrower and said, you're going to have to go out wide. And soon as they went out wide, they didn't know what to do with it. They weren't very comfortable with it. And I just thought, you know, at half-time, I thought I'm not going to say we were lucky to be winning, but I don't think there was much difference between us and Fulham, if you like. I don't think it was a 2-0 lead, but by the end of the game, I think it was worthy of a 2-0 win because of how professional we were in the second half. And it's different. It was just a different West Ham, I felt, today. Gonzo, is this a sign of a good team, though, when you maybe don't play to your best, but you pick up 3 points? And not only that, we've picked up a clean sheet, which is rare for West Ham, even under Pellegrini.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it carries on, is this a sign of a good team? I think we're going to have to start admitting to ourselves that we might be starting to become a good team and a good unit. And it's hard, particularly for me as a West Ham pessimist, if you like, you know, absolutely steeped in a tradition of basically, you know, jumping over a couple of hurdles and falling flat on your face into a muddy puddle on the next one that comes along. I mean, if we beat Watford on the next one, you've got to say this is a really quite a remarkable run of form. There's just we've got so much going for us at the moment. And this is why I said what I said earlier. At some point, you have to start thinking, well, hold on, maybe it's not just a fluke that we're beating these teams that are poorer than us. I'd certainly, there's a couple of times when when I would almost like to have a go at some of the teams we lost to earlier in the season the way we're playing now. If we could press refresh, if you like, and have a go at that again, now they're getting used to a unit. The players are getting used to not only the coaches and the manager, but they're getting used to playing alongside each other. You're starting to see these little partnerships develop. You've got Zabaleta and Snodgrass there. What a lovely partnership that is. I thought Masuaku at times today always frightens me defensively, and they're I know there'd be some I chat to on a boat who are probably laughing now if they're listening to this when I say that, because they've been telling me that for a long time, and I accept that. But it was frightening. But he still has a little partnership going with Anderson there, and I think there's obviously Noble and Rice in midfield have got an understanding. The centre backs we've discussed, the goalkeeper. Something's happening, mate. There's a bit of steady evolution going on.
I completely agree. We're 9th at the minute, and if Man United lose to Liverpool tomorrow, it's mathematically possible that we could wake up as West Ham fans on Christmas Day in 6th place in the league. It's mathematically possible. While it's probably not probable, but it's possible. I was going to say something, I forgot now. Charlie, individual performances, though, is you pick, as you know, the score, praise, criticise, you choose, up to yourself. Away you go.
I don't think I've seen some people saying he had the best game of recent times, and I don't think that's quite true. But I want to say that Antonio is continuing this run of good form, and games like today where I think there's still times where I'm like, just pass or just do something slightly better than that, or make a cross that's slightly better, whatever it might be. But his work ethic and his work rate today were really, really good. And I think part of why we actually looked dangerous when we did have our opportunities is just because he was working so hard up front. And I think that deserves a lot of credit. I think that Anderson deserves a huge amount of credit because, again, when we were up against it, when we were up against the wall, when we were struggling, when the ball came to him, he was always looking to get past and go at them directly. And there was a sense of when he was on the ball, something was going to happen, a chance was going to be created, and we would get something out of that. And I think that, again, that's a big credit to him. And again, Fabianski, I just feel very calm, and just whenever he's in goal, I just don't have that sense of dread. And I you know me, I love Adrian, I do. And I do get a mild kick out of his just pure insanity at times. But man, it's nice just to have someone a bit chilled out in goal when someone takes a shot and I go, nah, he's got it. It's not a problem. And that's so lovely for once.
Gonzo, take your pick.
Lots to choose from today. Anderson, as I say, just gets better and better and better. He's added he seems to add an extra layer to his game today. I mean, he tracked back and he won the tackles, but that's not what I'm talking about. So we got the dribbling, we got the driving in, we got the assists. He's added a flicked pass over the fullback's head now. Did it 3 times. You know, literally just stands still, lofts it over. And now this is what I'm saying, with people getting used to reading it. Diangana read it once, Antonio read it once. I mean, so he's just getting better all the time. Wonderful to see. I could watch that guy play all day. I can't believe what's happening there with him. Snodgrass, just wonderful. Brilliant. I'm so pleased for him. I mentioned a lot of injured players. You know, would Yarmolenko? Here's the question: would Yarmolenko get in ahead of Snodgrass at the moment? That's one of the questions below. I'll tell you that much. And of course, the 2 centre backs, Balbuena. John Hartson gave Balbuena man of the match. If you saw Fabianski and Zabaleta.
I think the current players are actually making us forget about the injury crisis we have right now. We actually have an injury crisis. The reason we're not talking about it is because the 11 on the pitch are playing so well. We're not talking about Yarmolenko out for ages. Winston Reid's dead. Jack Wilshere has injured his other ankle and now missed his 3rd game in a row or something. We're not discussing these things. Lanzini should have been the biggest. At the start of the season, we thought that our season was ruined with no Lanzini. I would argue we're not missing him as such, although I am licking my lips at the prospect of, I think he's a missing piece to this jigsaw. Actually, I do think he's the one player, if I could make everybody fit, forget Anatovich, forget Wilshere, he's the one I would pick up and put into the starting 11, because I think we will see an even better Anderson with him, Lanzini in behind him, etc. But I think the starting 11's stopping us from going into meltdown, if you want to call it that. We're forgetting about the injured players. The 2 I'm going to give slight credit to is Rice and Noble. As Gonzo alluded to, in the first half, they were up against 3 players. They were up against Seri, Kearney, and Chambers in there, the 2 of them. And they were like that for the whole 90 minutes. Noble had to come off because he was knackered. And you know something, I don't mind that. He had a little bit of a note. If you have to come off half an hour before the game because you're literally blowing out your arse, it means you've been running yourself into the ground for an hour, and I really don't mind that. They were up against 2 players tonight, and that was essential so that we could keep Hernandez and Antonio up front, and we didn't have to take one of them off and put someone into midfield, etc. So them two had a very difficult job. They didn't excel. They were not 10 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s, etc. They didn't do anything fancy, but they were solid, and they are why Snodgrass and Anderson's allowed to go forward and attack, etc. I thought Diop was a bit worrying me today. There's a couple of times I thought he flew out of defence a little bit too quick, and I thought a certain person who will be my man in match saved his arse a couple of occasions. But yeah, Snodgrass, it's good to see Snodgrass just enjoying his football, actually. And what Charlie's talking about Antonio, I think Antonio's actually just looked at Snodgrass and went, how the hell's this guy turned it around at West Ham? And then he's gone, work hard. Okay, I'm going to start doing that. And now it feels like Antonio's been Snodgrassed. It feels like that's what just worked out. All I have to do is graft a little bit, and the fans will like it. Today he grasped. The fans were singing Antonio over and over again. He got his goal. He looked happy. They kept singing Antonio. All you have to do is make a 10-yard run and win a throw-in, and everybody sings his name and stuff. That's all we want at West Ham. He's been Snodgrassed, and it's working. Andy Carroll, again, looked a little bit lost for my liking. He looked a little bit dazed. At one point, he was out on the right wing. He miscontrolled a chest, and he was blaming Obiang or something like that. And I just thought, why are you even out on the right wing? You're a target man. Look at the guy at the other side of the pitch wearing a Fulham shirt. He's a target man. What's he doing? He's standing in the middle of the box, letting his teammates cross it for him. You're out on the right wing. Let's just say you control the ball and got it down to your feet. Then what were you going to do? Because the guy you're looking to pass to is you. You're the guy that you're going to be looking to pass to. What are you doing out there? I just think Carroll's trying too hard to fit into the Pellegrini style or something. Stop trying to adapt your game completely and just accept what you are and make it work. Make it work around you. Pellegrini has worked with target men at Man City and made it work. So Carroll just needs to, if anything, someone needs to give him a DVD of the likes of Dzeko and stuff and say, this is how Pellegrini used his target man at City. Play like that, please. And then he might actually learn something. I don't want to be too critical of them, but we can't just be praiseful all the time. We wouldn't be West Ham fans otherwise. The two stats I was trying to remember when Gonzo was speaking, but I forgot. Gonzo's talked about he would like to play the first few games of the season again. If you remove the first 4 games of the season before today, i.e. Arsenal, Bournemouth, Liverpool, and Wolves, suck them out of the equation, we'd actually be going into this game 6th in the league. If you took everyone's 4 games of the season, that is, and we're 4th for the form before today. So the last 6 games in the Premier League, we're sitting 4th. And also December 14 is the last time we won 4 in a row. So we've smashed that target out the way under Pellegrini. So final question, boys. Gonzo, may I have your man of the match, please?
Yeah, today my man of the match is Pablo Zabaleta, who I thought was absolutely outstanding today. I would love to pick Felipe Anderson again. He may well deserve it. He really may well. There was other key players that I've already mentioned, but Zabaleta. I was watching my son. What's he doing? What's he doing in the box? They're not just in the box wide. Well, in the box centrally. What's he doing? There were tackles. He was fully committed. There was passing. There was dribbles. I'll tell you what. He had some Peter Pan powder. That fella has. It's absolutely. He's drunketh from the fountain of youth, and that was a hell of a display today.
The last 10 minutes in the first half, he just went, bugger it, to defensive responsibilities. He had money on him scoring or something. He was determined to hang around the 18-yarder for that last 10 minutes. Charlie, what about yourself? Can I get your man of the match, please?
Yeah, he was very close to mine as well, but I'm just going to pick Anderson just because that first period of where we did actually get the goals, I think he was the most dangerous person on the pitch for us. And I think that they knew it and he knew it. And there were times today where he was just effortlessly gliding past 3 people like it wasn't there. Like we spoke earlier in the season about how he might struggle to pick it up and run past the player or whatever. He was just not making people like there was no tomorrow. He was just drifting past them like there was no. It comes so effortlessly to him. And in games like today where we have struggled and it has been a little bit muddy, having that person to just unlock that is the perfect thing. So for me, it's going to be him.
Well, if you ever want something which reflects how well we're playing this season, not for the first time, last season you could go watch our reviews and we all give the same person man of match. Actually, in half the games we didn't even pick a man of match. It was so bad we were embarrassed.
That's true.
Not for the first time this season. Actually, it's nearly every week now. We're all going to pick a different man of match. I'm going to go for another defender, and that's Balbuena. I thought he was fantastic today. There was one header Mitrovic got in the second half. And Balbuena was a yard away, just standing there, and he blocked the header completely, just hit off him. And there was another time, I think it was Kearney, nutmeg Diop on the edge of the 18-yarder, and Fulham were essentially in, and he just come from nowhere, from the side, and just booted into Rosehead. Two or three times, Balbuena just did what I would call game-changing tackles or interceptions, and he is just fantastic. I know when it comes to Hammer of the Year, Snodgrass is probably winning now. Fabianski was, Diop's in with a shout. I'm going to struggle not to really, really, really consider Balbuena the way he's going. What a talent that boy is. Gonzo, final words from yourself?
Not really words from myself. Final words from Carl, from Dale, and from Tom, who have all given us their instant match reaction. I'm looking at my phone. That is going to be uploaded in 3 minutes on the forum channel. Get their instant reactions there, and thank you for sending those in, boys.
Just a final stat to finish off. Balbuena made 13 clearances today. The boy's top of the Premier League. I wouldn't be surprised. Check out your Who Scored Team of the Week on Monday morning, because I've got a feeling he'll be in it for his clearances today. 13 clearances. Anyway, that's been Charlie, that's been Gonzo, I've been Gio. That's 4 wins on the bounce for West Ham. Haven't done it since December 14 when we're seeing Enner, Valencia, partner Diafra Sacco up front with Stuart Downing at the tip of the diamond and Alex Song in midfield on loan from Barcelona, but it didn't matter because we had Mark Noble playing passes like he played for Barcelona today. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Me and Gonzo will be back later next week, hopefully with a cup of tea as well. It's a preview where we'll look forward to the Watford game. 5 wins in a row. Can't happen at West Ham, can it? Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you in a bit.